Number 8. Resilience to rejection. You've been told no more times than you can count. The job application that went nowhere. The pitch that fell flat. The idea that got shot down before you even finished explaining it. Where many take rejection as a stop sign, you treat it like data. Another attempt logged, another lesson learned, another step toward the yes that's apparently playing hard to get. This stems from understanding that success often belongs to the last person standing, not the most talented one in the room. Psychologists call this rejection resilience, and it's one of the strongest predictors of long-term achievement. Your brain has learned to separate the outcome from your identity, which protects effort on the next try. Studies of successful entrepreneurs show they face about 4 rejections before their first major breakthrough. Authors get rejected dozens of times before finding a publisher. Actors audition for hundreds of roles before landing the one that changes everything. What separates them is the ability to keep showing up after being told to go away. What looks like thick skin is actually emotional intelligence. You've learned that rejection says more about timing, fit, and circumstances than it does about your worth. Behind that resilience lies wisdom disguised as stubbornness. It's the quiet confidence that every no brings you closer to the right yes. Number 7. Competing with yourself. Your only real competition is yesterday's version of you. Last month you read 2 books, so this month you're aiming for 3. You finished that project in 5 days, so the next one needs to happen in 4. You measure yourself against yesterday's version of you. Psychologists describe this as mastery orientation. Instead of comparing yourself to others, you're focused on personal improvement. Your brain releases dopamine specifically when you outperform your previous self. That creates a sustainable motivation loop that doesn't depend on external validation. Research shows that people with strong mastery orientation achieve more consistent long-term success than those driven by social comparison. They're less likely to burn out and more likely to persist through setbacks. When your only competition is your past self, you never run out of room to grow. You might track weird metrics that make no sense to anyone else. How fast you can clean your kitchen. How many emails you can clear in an hour. It looks obsessive from the outside, but it's actually a sophisticated system for continuous improvement. That internal race you're running, you're not just winning, you're getting stronger every time you compete. Number 6. Internal locus of control. When something goes wrong, your first thought isn't, why me? Or, that's not fair. It's, what can I do about this? You instinctively believe that outcomes are shaped by your actions, not by luck, fate, or other people's decisions. That belief changes everything about the way you approach problems. This is what's known as internal locus of control, and it's another reliable predictor of success across every field. People with internal locus of control earn more money, have better relationships, and report higher life satisfaction overall. They don't waste energy blaming external circumstances because they're too busy figuring out their next move. When you get a bad grade, you study harder instead of complaining about the teacher. When a project fails, you analyze what went wrong instead of pointing fingers. That mindset creates a feedback loop where you actually do have more control, because you're always looking for ways to influence the outcome. You acknowledge external factors while focusing your energy on the variables you can influence. That focus turns you into someone who finds solutions while others are still updating their comprehensive list of everything that's wrong with society. The world is full of things you can't control, but the way you respond to them, that's entirely up to you, and that makes all the difference. Number 5. Tolerance for ambiguity. Most people freeze when the instructions are fuzzy. You start moving anyway. You're comfortable making decisions with incomplete information, launching projects without knowing exactly how they'll end, and navigating situations where the rules haven't been written yet. That comfort with uncertainty is rarer than you think. Psychologists refer to it as tolerance for ambiguity, and it's strongly linked to leadership potential and entrepreneurial success. While others wait for clarity, you create it. You understand that perfect information is a luxury most real-world decisions don't offer, so you work with what you have and adjust as you learn more. This trait shows up everywhere. You volunteer for the undefined project at work. You start the business before you have all the answers. You move to a new city without knowing anyone. That willingness to act despite uncertainty opens doors that stay closed for people who need guarantees. Studies that compare successful and unsuccessful entrepreneurs find a familiar pattern. The successful ones don't have better business plans. They just start before they feel ready and figure it out as they go. Certainty is overrated anyway. The most interesting opportunities usually come disguised as question marks, and you're one of the few people brave enough to find out what's behind them. Number 4. Adaptive perfectionism. You care about details others miss. The spacing in that presentation, the exact wording of that email, the way your workspace is organized. People might call you picky, but there's a difference between perfectionism that paralyzes and perfectionism that propels. You've figured out how to make high standards work for you instead of against you. Adaptive perfectionism is about excellence in execution, not endless revision. You set high standards, but you also know when something is good enough to ship. You obsess over the details that matter and let go of the ones that don't. That balance is what separates successful perfectionists from the ones who never finish anything. Research finds that adaptive perfectionists actually perform better than people with lower standards. They catch errors others miss, deliver higher quality work, and build reputations for reliability. The key is that their perfectionism serves a purpose. It's about creating something they can be proud of. You probably have systems that seem excessive to others. Multiple drafts, detailed checklists, backup plans for your backup plans. But those systems are what allow you to consistently deliver work that stands out. That systematic approach is what separates good work from exceptional work. That attention to detail that drives some people crazy, it's actually your secret weapon. In a world full of good enough, being someone who cares about getting it right makes you irreplaceable. Number 3. Loving solitude. Plenty of people fear being alone with their thoughts. You actually enjoy it. You don't need constant stimulation, social validation, or background noise to feel comfortable. You can sit with yourself for hours, thinking, planning, creating, or just being. That comfort with solitude is both rare and powerful. Research shows that people who enjoy solitude tend to be more creative, more self-aware, and better at long-term planning. They're accessing a mental space that's only available when the external noise stops. That quiet time is where your best ideas are born and complex problems get solved. This trait becomes especially valuable in leadership roles. While others need constant input and validation, you can make decisions independently. You're comfortable with the weight of responsibility because you've spent time alone with your thoughts, testing ideas before anyone else gets involved. You probably have rituals around your alone time. Early morning coffee before anyone else is awake. Long walks without podcasts or music. This behavior signals someone who understands that the most important conversations happen inside your own head. In a world that's constantly connected and constantly noisy, your ability to find peace in solitude is a superpower. It's where clarity lives, and clarity is what turns good ideas into great ones. Number 2. Over-preparing. Your friends roll their eyes when you show up with a power bank, a first aid kit, and snacks for a 2-hour road trip. You have backup plans for your backup plans. You research restaurants before going out to eat. You arrive early to everything. They call it anxiety. You call it being ready for whatever happens. This habit is actually a sign of high conscientiousness, one of the personality traits most strongly linked to success. Conscientious people don't just prepare for what they expect to happen. They prepare for what could happen. That preparation creates opportunities and prevents disasters that less prepared people have to deal with. Over-preparation looks excessive until it saves the day. You're the one with the phone charger when everyone's battery dies. You know the alternate route when traffic hits. What seemed like overkill becomes the reason everything works out. The data on conscientiousness is clear. Better careers, steadier relationships, and longer lives. What drives these outcomes is anticipating problems before they become crises. Your preparation isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about being ready to handle whatever outcome actually happens. That readiness turns you into someone others can depend on, and dependability is one of the most valuable traits in any field. Number 1. The Boredom Advantage. While others quit when things get repetitive, you keep going. You can handle the unglamorous parts, the tedious details, the long stretches where nothing exciting happens. That tolerance for boredom is actually a predictor of mastery, because mastery requires doing the same things over and over until they become second nature. The majority of people chase novelty and excitement. They want every day to feel different and every task to be engaging. But success often lives in the boring middle, in the daily practice that nobody sees, in the repetitive work that builds expertise, one small increment at a time. Athletes spend thousands of hours doing the same drills. Writers show up to the blank page every day, even when inspiration doesn't. Entrepreneurs handle the same operational tasks because that's what keeps the business running. Your ability to find satisfaction in repetitive work gives you a massive advantage. While others are jumping from project to project, chasing the next shiny thing, you're building depth. You're developing the kind of expertise that only comes from sustained attention to the fundamentals. Boredom tolerance comes from understanding that excellence requires repetition, that mastery demands patience, and that the most extraordinary results often come from doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. If you can stay engaged when things get dull, you're already ahead of most people who give up the moment the excitement fades. We explain a lot around here. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.